Chumripsur, Namaste, hello. It was here at Phnom Kulen in Cambodia that the mighty Khmer Empire was born when Jayavarman II anointed himself king, breaking away from the Hindu Java Empire. In this series, we will see how the Indic influence was absorbed and adopted into the local culture and is still a pivot point around which the Cambodian culture and life revolve.
Hello and welcome to Forgotten Temples with myself, Mr. B. I'm at Prasat Chomuk, and yet again I ask you to join me for a quick 10-minute adventure around an ancient temple here in the mystical land of Cambodia. Because yet again we're on the hunt for the traces of those Hindu gods. Now this site is exceptional. We're at Koh Ker again, the capital city of that great king Jayavarman. But now it is abandoned. It was abandoned centuries ago. And all around me, wherever I look, all I can see is jungle. But things were way different nigh on 1,000 years ago. This was a bustling city. But things have changed. For now, it lays neglected and abandoned. The city was called Lingapura, and what that means is the city of the Shiva Lingas. So this temple was once constructed for that most worthy of gods. And just look at it. It is large, it is solid, it is bold. But if we look closer, we can see so much more. Here is an excellent example of those master tradesmen's skills. When visiting these ancient sites, there's an awful lot open to interpretation. Because of course the only thing that's left standing of this entire city is these stone structures, and they are all temples, because these were how they showed their devotion to those mighty gods. And occasionally when walking through these ancient sites, one comes across a stone such as this, and it tells quite the story. If we look here, we can see these holes. It is obviously a lintel. It went up here. Where this gap is, it would have gone across a doorway. Now what is interesting is we have the hole here, and we can see how deep it is as my hand disappears inside it, and it's almost a perfect oval. Inside, it's remarkably smooth. Here we have a square. Another piece would lock in here. It shows the incredible skill level that these people had in building these temples. And what they had at hand was very basic. It was basic metal tools and the ever-present power source of the elephant. Let me come in and take a closer look at this for you, because there's another example further along I wish to show you. This is as smooth can be. It was an incredible feat when they built these temples. I mean, the whole city is littered with them. And between each temple, if you look over here or look over there, is nothing but trees now. But of course, this would have been a bustling city. It only shows how very devoted to the gods they were. I mean, you must consider the amount of resources and money and time that went into it. And the very reason for this temple was this building here. This is where all that devotion was funneled to. It was the focal point, the sanctum sanctorum. And it's a lot bigger than you think. And again, I've got to do my old standby, which is walk away from you, so I can show you, as always, the size of it. And you may well be thinking something, well, Mr. B, they built this enormous city. How the hell did they afford it? Well, guess what the king did? He raised taxes. Yes, nothing changes. Now, do you get an idea as to the size of this place? It is quite astonishing. None of the temples in this abandoned city are done on a small scale. Every single one has a level of the old grandiose about it. And after he'd raised all those taxes and built such incredible temples as this, the king, of course, passed on and died. His son took over for some time, but the general consensus amongst the people was they didn't want to live here. So after about only 20 years, a majority of the community moved to Angkor Wat, pretty much abandoning this place.
But visiting these sites is always a privilege, because wherever one walks, you are always in the presence of greatness.
And the reason that its heart is missing is due to looters. They could operate here with gay abandon just because of its remoteness. Nobody would see them. So they could toil away for weeks, months, or even years. There's also a second factor that we must consider, and that was the Civil War. The Khmer Rouge, who in the 70s took over the country and decided to start up what was quite simply a carousel of death, they hated religion, and they were more than happy to sell off statues and lingers and so on for trade, and they would swap them for, let's say, guns. So quite incredibly, these ancient gods that could have maybe taught them so much were swapped for weapons of war, and that breaks my heart. Because with a little bit of imagination, we can see how big this place is and how large the statue or the linga that sat in here was. I mean, just imagine the amount of work, which, as I say, is directly equal to the amount of devotion these people had for these gods. I very much hope that you've enjoyed this brief adventure, this quick look around an ancient site far away in another land where those Hindu gods once dwelled. I assure you, if you ever get the chance to come here, Khokher, then do so. It is fascinating. As always, I ask you to please like, subscribe and comment. And seeing that these videos are being sponsored by the Indian Embassy, I ask you to leave comments down below. If you want to see more adventures, then please let us know. Maybe you would like a longer format. Maybe there's an ancient site in your town. Who knows? As always, I wish you absolutely nothing but the very best. You take good care.